Hi, Greta.
Hey, Dr. Shefali.
I just love your questions. People may think we are producing them or scripting them. They need to know that this is one shot. I never know what she's going to ask me, and we just go for it. So I don't have
I'm
anything.
the keeper of the questions. I love having this.
And the get real part is that I just say whatever comes to my mind in that moment and just move along in a very real way, as if you're talking to me in a cafe or over lunch. Anyway, go ahead, Greta.
This is the beauty of your wisdom, is it's with you at all times. So I love to be able to ask you questions off the cuff when you're not necessarily prepared for them. Okay. So today's question is really about all the suffering that I see around me more and more. It just seems like people are really, really struggling. They're really suffering. Can you talk about that?
Well, the Buddha said, life is suffering. And what he meant by that is our inability to understand this illusion of the form-based life that we live that causes suffering. So it's a little profound to delve deep into at this point. But simply put, I think people are suffering because we're all living in a false sense of self and we don't even know it. We're all asleep and we don't even know it. I used to be asleep, didn't know it. And every year I become more and more awakened. So this is not a process of asleep and awake. You're asleep and then you wake up and then you keep waking up and you keep waking up and you keep illuminating and your mind keeps liberating. So I think the reason people suffer is because they haven't woken up fully yet. And in that slumber state, they are deeply conditioned to believe that they need to be something. They should be some particular way. And all that they're conditioned to think they should be is not who they truly are. So imagine living a false sense of self, a sense of self that is really essentially divested of worth. All of us are unhappy because we are divorced from our true luminescent worth. And in my own life, I've seen how I was extremely divorced, then less divorced, and then even less divorced. And it's a process. And now as I enter my worth, I am living a completely different life. And I feel like that girl who I used to be even 7 years ago is simply not existent anymore. So this process of evolution requires a death. People don't want to die. They don't want to change. They want the suffering to leave. They don't realize that they need to die onto themselves, onto their old ways. They need to grow into a new way. No one wants to do all that work, so the suffering continues. If you truly want to alleviate your suffering, you have to change and transform and evolve this thing called the mind. The mind has to go from slumber to awakened, but it takes a process, and everyone will do it at their own time. So we cannot wish for someone else to suffer less. Now, of course, that is my eternal longing. That's why I do the work I do. But I also now have learned to have reverence for the suffering that people are in and my own suffering, because I've seen it's from suffering and the pain that we are offered a portal to awakening. So people will awaken when they are ready to awaken. We have humility for that process. We don't judge or condone their lack of awakening. We simply awaken ourselves. And as we awaken, we realize that we emit and radiate with greater joy and happiness and unbridled enthusiasm and love and compassion. So let's do that. Let's focus on our own awakening and spreading the love. And soon other people will join us when they are ready.